Hello again, 7th grade ELA. So now I want to talk with you about our research goals. You need to do a research project while we're out. It doesn't have to be a big essay or anything, just a small project. But one of the main things that we need to be able to do, that you need to be able to accomplish, is to determine the credibility of a source, the reliability of a source. We have covered CARS several times, but I think several people are still struggling with this. So I want to go back over this. You can see on the screen, this is our CARS form. It's available on Google Classroom. You'll be expected to fill this out for your sources. The source, right here where it says source, this is all about what are you actually analyzing? If we're going to decide if a source is credible, we need to know which one we're looking at. So for today, I'm going to use this one as an example. This source is from the South African History Online called Gandhiji and the Struggle for Liberation in South Africa. This source happens to be about Gandhi, but that's not really what we're looking at right this second. So in this source, we need to decide if it's reliable or not. So I'm going to include the title of the article, and I'm going to put that in this box underneath where it says source. I'm also going to, I'm going to change that because that's too big. I don't need to, I can make this much smaller and still be able to read it. I'm going to include the fact that this comes from South African History Online. That is the name of the website, or also called sahistory.org. Now, we want to start looking at the credibility. How can you tell that this source can be trusted? What evidence do you have? If you find a source that cannot be trusted, put that in there. None, it can't be, I've discovered it's wrong, whatever you need to put in there, but tell me why. Your answer can be right as long as you tell me why. In this case, while we're looking at this, there's a couple of things. First of all, it's a .org, which means they're not making money off of this. They don't have a vested interest in proving that they are absolutely right on one side. Second of all, their focus is purely on history. That's all they're looking at. So you can kind of believe that they're going to do their research on it because they have such a specialty. Down at the bottom of the page, they have a contact us. They have about us. They talk about their copyrights. So that gives them more credibility. This contribute button makes me a little more leery. Makes me feel like maybe this is a little more like Wikipedia where anybody can say stuff. So I would question that. They do have a presence on all the major social media, but this copyright button is major, and they specifically tell you what you're allowed to use and what you're not based on the copyright laws and the information that they already have. They tell you exactly how to cite the information from them so you know it's theirs. This contact us button gives them a lot more credibility. It means they're not trying to hide from you. They're letting you know exactly where they are. They're in Cape Town. Cool. They're letting you know exactly where they are so you can find them. That gives them more credibility too. So we're going to come back over here, and under this we're going to put copyright information. We're going to add that they have a contact us button. We're going to add that they are a .org website, right? Any and all of these things that you can find are going to give you an idea that they're more credible. Accuracy. Give examples of the facts in the source that are either exactly true, questionable, or definitely wrong. List which it is and how you know. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go back to the main article. And we're going to look at some of these facts. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole article in this taping because that would take too long. This is just an example. For starters, they call Gandhi by his proper full name, Gandhiji. So you know they've done some of their research. They're talking about the 40th anniversary of the assassination. They give an exact date. So here's a fact. How do I know this fact is correct? Well, I'm going to come back here, accuracy. Give an exact date for, I've forgotten how to spell Gandhi. I think that's right. Gandhi's assassination. I did spell Gandhi wrong, did I? There we go. How do I know? I'm just going to put a little dash. Easily researched fact. Okay? It's an easily researched fact. This birth, their personal information, all of that you can research on any site. They're giving you some quotes. The continuing inspiration. Here's where you might want to look further. The civil rights movement in the United States, led by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was inspired by his example. Well, that's true. And you can do research on Martin Luther King Jr., and you can discover that he himself said that he was inspired by Gandhi. So their facts are true. So we'll just take this one again and move that over to our form, right? Because we've got another fact here. We know this is true because MLK said it was true. Okay, it's about Martin Luther King Jr., and he himself said it was true. So here's a fact that we can prove was true. This is how we know it's accurate. Reasonableness. Give an example from the source that the source is either making wild, crazy claims or logically thought through claims. State the claim and how you decided which it is. So we'll come back over to our article. I'm going to do a Control F here. And look for the word influence. Okay, so we're talking about comment here in South Africa was not only a struggle for rights of the Indians and the redress of grievances, but a part of the struggle of India for freedom and dignity. It was influenced by the upsurge in India in protest against the partition of Bengal. Okay. The experience of Gandhi in the struggle of South Africa, in its turn, a great influence on the Indian national movement. So they're saying they influenced each other. This is a great quote. India influenced South Africa, and South Africa influenced India, as both were struggling for their independence. So we're going to put this quote down here under its where it says reasonableness. Is this a reasonable claim? Okay. This claim could be researched. This claim is straightforward without emotional adjectives. Okay, this is reasonable. This is thought through. You're going to want to give at least 2 examples if you can, but this is thought through. It is not trying to push to one side or the other. It is a claim that you can research in multiple areas if you need to. And at the same time, it's going to tell you, at the same time, it's telling you something without the extra emotion on it. Okay, so this claim is actually reasonable. It's not like they're saying these wild, crazy things. It's not like they're trying to push your emotions. And support. What sources does your source use to back up their facts? So coming back to our article, we want to find out, turn off my control F, what sources they quote. And that should be fairly easy in this article because they very specifically give you quotes. So, in one of his last speeches at the prayer meeting in Dali in January 28th, 1948, was devoted to the struggle of South Africa. So they're talking very specifically about Satyagraha, and something that he specifically said. Okay, we're using one of his speeches there. That's okay. It's a little bit harder to say, hey, here's backing it up, although you could use that as a source. They're quoting the actual manifesto. There's got to be. Let's see if they have any sources backing it up. Here they're quoting Chief Albert Luthuli. But they don't list specific citations, which makes them a little bit less doubtful. So here we put only individual speeches are quoted. No sources are given. This means that overall, this source that we're looking at rates about medium on its reliability. Okay, you need to keep that in mind because not every source you're going to find is reliable. And I couldn't find any quoted sources, so that was my answer under the column for support. I hope all of that makes sense. If you still have questions about how to fill this chart out when you find your sources, please contact me and let me help you out. All right, have fun with your research.